Have you ever wondered what happened to that one childhood friend who knew everything about you? The one who stood beside you before money, success, or status ever mattered? I used to think some friendships lasted forever. I was wrong. This is the story of the best friend I left behind, and the lesson I learned far too late. My name is Ethan, and this is my story. When I was 10 years old, my world was very small. It was just my family, my bicycle, our little neighborhood, and one person who made every ordinary day feel like an adventure. His name was Noah. We met on the first day of 5th grade. Neither of us had many friends. I noticed he was sitting alone during lunch, quietly eating a peanut butter sandwich while reading a comic book. I walked over and asked, "Mind if I sit here?" He smiled. "Only if you promise not to laugh at my drawings." That single conversation became the beginning of a friendship that shaped my childhood. Noah and I did everything together. We built tree houses from old wooden boards. We raced our bikes until sunset. We dreamed about growing up and becoming successful. Sometimes we'd lie on the grass, looking at the stars. Noah always said, "When we're adults, let's promise we'll never stop being friends." I'd laugh and shake his hand. It's a deal. At 12 years old, keeping promises seemed easy. But life has a strange way of testing childhood promises. When I turned 14, my father received a better job offer in another city. It was wonderful news for my family. For me, it felt like the end of my world. The day before we moved, Noah handed me a small notebook. Inside the cover he had written, "No matter where life takes us, don't forget where your story began." I hugged him. "I'll come back every summer, I promise." We both believed it. At first, I actually kept my promise. Every summer I visited, we played basketball, we talked for hours. Nothing seemed different. But as the years passed, life became busier. Summer jobs, college applications, new friends, relationships. Eventually, my visits became shorter. Then they stopped altogether. Noah still messaged me. He'd send funny pictures, birthday wishes, random memories from our childhood. Sometimes he'd ask, "When are you coming back?" I'd always answer, "Soon." That word, soon, became my favorite excuse. Years later, I graduated from college and started working for a large technology company. My career moved quickly. Promotions, business trips, awards. Everyone congratulated me. People said I was successful. Yet every time Noah messaged me, I replied later, or sometimes not at all. One evening, he sent me a photo. It was our old treehouse. The caption simply read, "Still standing." I smiled. I meant to reply. I forgot. Almost 2 years passed. Then one morning, while scrolling through social media, I saw a post from someone back in my hometown. It was a community fundraiser. The headline caught my attention. "Help Noah's Community Learning Center." Learning Center? I clicked. To my surprise, Noah had never left town. Instead of chasing a high-paying career, he had turned an abandoned building into a free after-school center, where children could study, read books, and receive homework help. He had spent years helping kids who couldn't afford tutors. He organized food drives. He collected donated books. He even taught art classes every weekend. Thousands of people admired him. And somehow, I knew almost nothing about his life. Without thinking twice, I drove back to my hometown that weekend. Everything looked smaller than I remembered, except one thing: the learning center. It was full of children laughing and learning. When I walked inside, I saw Noah helping a little girl solve a math problem. He looked older, a few gray hairs, a few wrinkles, but the same warm smile. He looked at me for a second, then smiled. Even wider. "Ethan?" I nodded. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he hugged me, exactly like we were 12 years old again. I expected him to be angry. I expected him to ask why I disappeared. Instead, he simply said, "I'm really glad you came." No accusations, no bitterness, just kindness. That hurt more than any argument ever could. We spent the afternoon talking. He asked about my career, my apartment, my travels. Then I asked him, "Why did you stay here?" He looked around the room filled with children. Then he smiled. "Remember when we were kids? We said we wanted to change the world." I realized, you don't have to change the whole world. You only have to change someone's world. I looked around again. Those children weren't just learning math or reading. They were gaining confidence, hope, a future, and Noah had given them that. Before I left, Noah handed me something.
The same notebook he had given me years ago. I was confused. I thought I lost this. He laughed. You did. You left it here during your last visit. Inside was the first page. Don't forget where your story began. This time, those words meant something completely different. That night, I couldn't sleep. For years, I had measured success by promotions, salary, and titles, but Noah measured success by the number of lives he improved. Who had really become successful? The answer was obvious. Over the next few months, I began visiting regularly. Sometimes I helped teach computer classes. Sometimes I simply read stories to the children. Other times, I just sat beside Noah, talking about life like we used to beneath the stars. It felt like I had found a missing piece of myself. One afternoon, a young boy at the center asked me, "Mr. Ethan, how long have you and Mr. Noah been friends?" I smiled. "Almost my whole life." The boy looked surprised. "Then why don't you live near each other?" I paused. Because the truth was painful. Sometimes distance doesn't separate friends. Priorities do. Today, whenever someone asks me what the greatest achievement of my life is, I don't mention my career. I don't mention awards. I tell them about an old treehouse, a forgotten notebook, and a friend who taught me that success means very little if you leave the people who helped shape your life behind. Because real friendship isn't about talking every single day. It's about never letting pride, busyness, or success convince you that someone who once mattered doesn't matter anymore. So if this story reminded you of an old friend, don't wait. Send the message, make the call, visit them if you can. You never know how much both of you have been waiting for that moment. Sometimes, the people we miss the most are only one conversation away. And sometimes, going back to where your story began, is exactly how you discover who you were always meant to become. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe this channel for more heart-touching story. See you in the next video.